long and short stitch for the daffodil. And this is a beautiful piece that we'll be working on. As you can see, it's a gorgeous design, and we'll be learning exactly how to do the petals and how to do the trumpet of the daffodil. Now the pattern can be taken from the large 6-inch design, which is for the kit as you can see below. And here I'm just going to work on a small example of this pattern to show you how to work on the stitches. I'm going to use a oval flexi hoop, and I've traced my design onto the fabric. Also use some fabric stabilizer, and I'm just going to secure this inside the flexi hoop. So a flexi hoop is great for keeping your fabric nice and taut, nice and smooth, so you've got a great surface to work on. And you can see from what I've traced here, I haven't traced all of the grass marks behind, as this is just a sample piece, but to finish the piece afterwards I will add some more of the grass pieces in. And you need to get all of your fabrics and your materials that you need together. So you'll need some nice sharp snips, you'll need 3 shades of yellow. Now I like the mellow yellow, I like a brighter coloured yellow for the middle, and I like almost an orangey yellow, just to add that bit of contrast. So here you can see that I'm working on the very tips of the daffodil. And I like to work on alternate sides when I'm working with long and short stitches, or even satin stitch, because I find it gives balance to the piece. You can balance out your stitches and you can see exactly where you're going, how much space you have left to fill. So here you can see there's a slight edge here that hasn't been covered. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish the edges before I work towards the centre. So now I'm going to finish this centre piece, and I'm going to work on alternate sides until I reach the centre and finish the shaping of that leaf. And you can see here I'm working towards the shape of the zigzag line. I don't want a really even shape, I want to look like it's really blended. And as I finish the shape here, you could see that I had a slight dip, I had one taller than the other. So I'm simply going to work a stitch over on this side to the centre again, and I'll do the same on the other side just to smooth that edge off. And at this point we're going to introduce the next colour, which is this gorgeous bright yellow. And again we're going to stitch with 6 strands of thread. We're going to start at the base of the petal and we're going to work into the stitches above. Now the reason this stitch is called long and short is because we work on different length sizes as we begin to stitch and throughout. I also like to work on alternate sides again, so I work and close up the centre of the shape. You can see here I'm working directly into the stitch above. And you can see that the colours work really nicely together to give that little bit of depth. So when you get to this point here, if you do notice that some of your stitches don't lie closely together, you have a small gap shown here, you can just go back and add an extra stitch and just cover that little bit of fabric that's coming through. Long and short stitch is a really forgiving stitch. There we go. I'm going to carry on this side and keep going until the centre is fully covered with beautiful stitches. So once the inner section of the petal is complete, we're going to thread with your third colour, which should be the peachy orange colour. And we're just going to add 3 contrasting stitches. And there's the first one. Then we're going to work one up the petal and the other one will go to the side. And again, it's just the small details like this that add that little bit of depth to your finished pieces. So here you can see that the petal is completely finished, and you will work the other petals on the daffodil in exactly the same way. But for now I'm going to show you how to make the trumpet. And for this we're going to mix our coloured thread. So we're still stitching with 6 strands of thread, only we're mixing 3 of the bright yellow and 3 of the orangey peachy colour. You can see here they're quite different, but mixed together they are beautiful. And one of the tips I have here for splitting your threads is to hold onto the main strand and pull the threads out one by one. Doing this will ensure that you do not get your threads into a huge knot and a tangle. It works for me every time. Once you've taken them all out one by one, it takes any twists away as well. And then when you do come to stitch, you get a lovely smooth flat stitch. You can see here just the lovely colour balance inside, just slightly and subtly showing through, and you'll see it more once you've started stitching. So we're going to start again at opposite ends of the shape, and we're going to work in and close the shape in the centre, and we're going to use lovely smooth straight stitches, again working on alternate sides. And if you remember when I first did the petal, when I came down to the end, you could see a slight gap at the side of the petal. And we've got that same thing here as well. So I'm going to keep stitching and you'll be able to see how I finish it off just on this other side here. So I've come back on myself and finished this outer area just here. Now the tip here is to keep your stitches really close together, and you want them really long and you want them really smooth. It doesn't matter if they overlap slightly, because that'll just add a lovely dome shape to your trumpet of the daffodil. And you can see here that the gap is closing in, and we're just going to put a couple of overlaying stitches across the centre there. And now to finish the end of the trumpet. And we know that a daffodil trumpet has a lovely kind of fluted end. And for this, we're going to do it using French knots. Now in this pattern, I have used just 3 strands of the orangey yellow, so the third colour in the palette. And we're just going to do 2 wraps around the needle to make our lovely French knots. And they go all along the edge of that little trumpet. And there we have all the elements of the daffodil flower. In order to finish the design, you just need some green thread to make your grass stems. You can mix your shades of green and use straight stitches.